All right, welcome back to the Good Time Podcast. Today we have a little bit different of a video. We're going to be ranking the MCU in its entirety and doing a little bit of a tier list as well. So we'll just go ahead real quick, slide up here. This is what I'm not counting as MCU: Netflix, Punisher, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Defenders. That's not MCU. Argue with the Wall. Netflix, Punisher I've seen. Both are really good, and I've seen a little bit of Defenders. Werewolf by Night, I Am Groot, Guardians Holiday Special, What If, Loki Season 2, and What If will not be ranked because I'm not counting specials. I like the Holiday Special. Werewolf by Night's alright. I Am Groot I haven't seen. I don't feel like watching 2 more seasons of What If. I've only seen 1 season, plus it doesn't tie into the actual universe. And then Loki Season 2, I'm just counting it as a show in one, so you only see Loki here once. With that being said, there are 49 total things, all live action. Oh, sorry. Also, no X-Men 97, no Spider-Man freshman year. X-Men 97 would be really high, and I did like Spider-Man freshman year. It's about an 8 out of 10. No. All right. Easily in last place at 49th is Echo. That's definitely F tier. This entire show is pretty terrible. They marketed it as like a grounded, crime show. It wasn't that at all. She went to, this random town and was doing random stuff for whole episodes. There were, stuff about her family from years ago that went on for like 20 minutes at the beginning of episodes, it felt like, that did not tie into the story. Then she heals Kingpin's trauma at the end. It's probably one of my least favorite things I've ever seen. Like, it's really, really bad. All right, in 48th place in the same tier as Echo, even though I do think it is a little bit better. But with the characters that it has, Secret Invasion, this show is just a complete whiff. I mean, you can Nick Fury show going against aliens that, can look like superheroes, has the powers of superheroes with a $200 million budget. You would think, wow, this show is going to be really good. No, it's terrible. I like literally this entire, upon rewatch, I've rewatched everything in the MCU. So I've seen everything twice except Agatha All Along and Echo. And this was probably my hardest rewatch for sure. All right, in 47th place in the F tier as well, and I really just have it in the F tier because it's a movie. I do think it's better than Echo and Secret Invasion, but since it's a movie, we had to hold it there. Thor: Love and Thunder at 47th place. When I leave a Marvel movie for the first time, and my initial reaction is like, "Oh, that's like a 6, 7." That should tell you that I didn't like it. The more you think about this movie, the more it sucks. Taika Waititi made one of my favorite movies in the MCU in Ragnarok. You'll see how high that is ranked here later, and just completely made a joke out of the next movie. Christian Bale was wasted. He was one of the best, could have been one of the best, comic book villains we've seen. Really interesting and just complete whiff of a movie. All right, in 46th place, and I think we're going to the D tier category right now, and I think it's fair to say this is probably just not my cup of tea. We're going to go Agatha All Along. This took me forever to watch. I probably watched 8 movies and 2 TV shows in between watching this. I think Agatha's great, and I think one of the WandaVision twins, I can't remember which one, Billy or maybe Billy, he was awesome. I really liked, his whole character arc. It's the longest MCU show, which is dumb. It should not be the longest. Yeah, it was a tedious watch for me. I think it's just so low for me because I would way rather watch a lot of these. I would probably rather watch Thor: Love and Thunder again, but it's a movie versus an 8-episode TV show that I don't like either of them, so that's why I'll give Agatha All Along where it is. And I respect it's just not for me. All right, in 45th place, we got Miss Marvel. We're sticking in the D tier right now. As you can kind of tell, Phase 4, Phase 5 is some of Marvel's lowest for me. Miss Marvel, Episode 1's cute and fun, and Episode 6 really good. Everything in between is pretty garbage. I think the actress is incredible. I'm a big fan of her. Shout out Iman Vellani. I always forget her name or say it wrong, so I didn't want to say it wrong. I think she's incredible, and I think this being like a short down everything and being a movie would have been a lot cuter and more fun, but they had to do it as a TV show, so I get it. In 44th place, still in the D tier, I got Thor 2, Thor: The Dark World. I remember I was watching this movie, because I'm a big fan of Thor 1. I do like Thor 1 a lot. And I was like, oh, this movie's dope too. I think I just didn't remember that I liked it. The Thor and Loki stuff's really good. Them teaming together, that whole plot's really good. Then they go to Earth, and there's 20 minutes left, and that last 20 minutes is like maybe 30 minutes to 20 minutes is like a literal 1 out of 10. So I think it kind of evens out from like being a potential 7, being a potential 1. I have it at about a 4 out of 10. Coming in at 43rd place, I hate to say it, I was really high on this. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. We're still in the D tier. My first watch, I was at like an 8 out of 10. I did really like it. I thought Kang was menacing my first watch, and then you rewatch it and you see Kang loses to a bunch of ants. That's a cheap cop out. I think the CGI is really clunky in this movie. I think Paul Rudd carries these movies on his back, and that's why they could be lower for me. If Paul Rudd's not the actor in these is probably one of the worst MCU movies. I guess technically it's bottom 3 MCU movies, so do your homework. All right, in 42nd place, and this is higher level D tier. I think this is a step up from Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I have Miss Marvel. Every time I watch it, I think, like it's like a straight 5 out of 10. Doesn't impress me, but doesn't really do anything wrong. I think it's very generic. I can't believe this movie made $1 billion. That's insane that this movie made $1 billion. Coming in at 41st place, we're still in the D tier. I have Black Widow. This movie should have been made in 2016. The Wi-Fi, dude. The CGI is awful in this movie. I think the cast is incredible, and I remember in my Letterboxd review, I was like, oh, I can't wait to see these people in a potentially good movie in Thunderbolts, and that was great to see. This movie should have been made in 2016 with better CGI, with, a better story, and this could have been a lot better. All right, we're still in the D tier, but we're getting into our top 40. In 40th place, I have Eternals. This is where we're getting a little bit higher, though. I have this on a 3-star at Letterboxd. On Letterboxd. I think this should have been a TV show. I think there's many of these TV shows that could have been made into movies, and you give this a TV show, and it's a lot better. Stretch it out. Give each character 1 episode, and at the end of the episode, they recruit a little bit, and then the last episode's the team up, then the last episode is, the final fight, the portrayal of Icarus. I think that could have been way better, and you could have seen actual relationships fleshed out. I think this does feel rushed. And I honestly am really sad we're not going to see any of these characters ever again, because I remember leaving in, I was kind of excited. They set up Blade, they set up Starfire, Harry Styles, MCA. Star Fox, yeah, sorry. Brain fart. And I think I would just, please bring one of them in Doomsday. That'd be sick. All right, in 39th place, we got Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Sorry, we have Ant-Man and the Wasp just straight. In 39th place, we have Ant-Man and the Wasp. We're still in the D tier. This is the last movie in the D tier. This is, it's just Paul Rudd when he's on screen, he's great. And besides that, it's just, I think this is pretty boring. All right, in 38th place, I have Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I think Letitia Wright stepped up, and this is probably my favorite performance in the MCU. She's incredible in this, and I think they were given such a hard hand. They had to rewrite everything for Chadwick Boseman. But the final fight with all the people versus Namor, I think, sucks. I think the CGI sucks. I think the suits that you give the Wakandans sucks. I'm not a fan of it. I don't know. I don't know. I think this whole movie, I was really enjoying it. I always really enjoy it. Then once I get to the 4th act, it takes me out. So I think it's still C tier, and I give it credit on where it's due. Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman, man. All right, in 37th place, probably the most overhated thing in the MCU, I got She-Hulk. This was probably, I had this last for a long time. I really did not like She-Hulk. But upon rewatch, you just sit back, relax, realize it's a comedy show about a girl lawyer who's a Hulk. You're going to sit there and enjoy it. Daredevil's fun. I do think, I think some people care too much and get too political about things. And if you let that happen, you might let shit bug you. But also, if you just sit there and enjoy it, you will enjoy it. The final episode sucks. I think it's kind of dumb they wrote a whole show to potentially have just a bad final act so you could do that thing. If that's how they wrote the show, that's dumb. But I want to see another season of Jen Walters dealing with the superhero world. I think it's so fun and cute. All right, probably one of my hotter takes I have in 36th place, Captain America, the first Avenger at C tier. I think the Russo brothers really stepped up the Captain America movies for sure. I'm not even too sure who directed this movie, but every time I watch this movie, it is just a snooze fest for me. Nothing about it blows me away. I don't really like anything specifically about this movie, and I don't necessarily really hate anything about this movie. I think it's just meh. And then I think him diving into the ice is so dumb, especially after we seen him jumping, through the air on airplanes and shit. Dude, he could have just jumped down and landed in the water. I mean, he's a super soldier, right? Like, why would you not at least try? I don't know. So that's kind of dumb. And I think the fact that they skip over World War II, I would have way rather seen a Captain America World War II movie taking down Nazis. That sounds tough. All right, in 35th place, I hate to say it, but I have Spider-Man Far From Home. This is probably my biggest critiqued movie. I picked this movie apart. I just really think it is dumb that Tony leaves glasses to Nick Fury, and one there, it's not even Nick Fury, so Tony never knew that it was Nick Fury, and, you just have this scroll giving shit to Spider-Man, so it's like making Tony look dumb, and Tony, one, never trusted Fury, so even if he didn't know it all and you're willing to not say he's a scroll or whatever, he would have never trusted Nick Fury. Why didn't he give the glasses to Pepper or to give to Peter? And why would he even leave the glasses to Peter? The Mysterio villain's awesome. Jake Gyllenhaal's great. But, of course, he's a villain for Tony Stark, and that just takes it out. And Spider-Man leaves New York, which is dumb. Don't do a Spider-Man movie where Spider-Man leaves New York. That's an automatic, 2 points off. Spider-Man's whole thing is where he's like, oh, I have to keep my city safe. Like, I can't leave. There's crime, right? And I get, yeah, he needs a break, yada, yada. I mean, I don't know. Especially after Endgame, he's just going to leave New York. Why wasn't the movie after Endgame him cleaning up the streets of New York, dealing with, the ramifications of Endgame? That just makes no sense to me. All right, in 34th place, I have Ironheart. People are haters. This is fun. The CGI is great. Riri Williams is incredible. I had fun with this movie. The final act actually got me, where she does that little twist reveal. I think it's dumb that, they put magic into the suit, and I think, spoiler alerts, her selling her soul to Mephisto's dumb, and because she was already kind of being a bad person all movie, and, now she sells her soul, so it's is she a good person, or is she an anti-hero, and you're going to make an anti-hero? And there are some things with this movie that deep down kind of bug me upon being higher, because if you think about it, where it's okay, so you have this character, and you make her do this and this, I don't know, it seems like it's, I don't know, I don't even want to get into it. All right, coming in at 33rd place, we have Captain America Brave New World. We're still in the C tier, guys, if I haven't been mentioning it, but I've been popping it up on the screen. Every time I think about this movie, I like it less. This is Incredible Hulk 2 with Anthony Mackie as Captain America. Why would they not let the Russo brothers do it? Maybe they didn't want to. They brought Anthony Mackie in as the Falcon. They developed him through Infinity War and Endgame, as well as Civil War. Them doing that movie, they understand the character way better. Red Hulk, being the villain there is kind of dumb. Thinker being the villain's kind of dumb. Him, calming down the Hulk. I'm so sick of, them just not defeating villains. And, that's just kind of annoying. I don't know. Every time I think about this movie, I like it less and less. But Anthony Mackie, bro, is so good as Captain America. I don't want to take away from that at all. All right, in 32nd place, I have Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. We're still in the C tier. We're getting to the higher level C tier for sure. This movie's so fun. Simu Liu. Simu Liu? I'm not going to say his name. Shang-Chi, the guy that Simu Liu's incredible as Shang-Chi. Awkwafina's in it, and she gets kind of annoying at times for sure. I think, that kind of comedic effect on the side so unnecessary. And I think the final, war, of course, this is a lot of the problem with a lot of these Marvel movies. They have to add a big battle at the end, a big war. It does not necessarily need it to be that in this movie. They paint it as a father-son type battle. Maybe they did set up a war the whole time, But then the dragon kind of comes in. It takes you out a little bit. I fell asleep when I saw this in theaters the first time. So, like, even if I like it more on rewatch, I have to keep in mind when they brought out the dragon, it made me fall asleep for a few minutes. So, do your homework. All right, in 31st place, we have Black Panther. I think this is, mid-level MCU. I think it does pretty much everything safe. It's a very safe movie. I think the CGI is wonky at times, and I think it's like a good movie with a few really good moments is probably how I would describe Black Panther. All right, we're getting into our top 30. And at 30th place, I have Incredible Hulk. This was one of my favorite movies as a kid. I saw this in theaters. This is probably the MCU movie I've seen the most. Maybe I've seen this movie a lot as a kid for sure. I had it on DVD, definitely. I hate to say it, Mark Ruffalo is not my Hulk. Edward Norton's my Hulk. I love Edward Norton as Hulk. He gives off the complexity as Bruce Banner. He does not give off the smartness as well. Mark Ruffalo is definitely way better as Bruce Banner. And I think, maybe being the smart Dr. Banner is what he's better. But I think Bruce Banner, the character study, I really liked what Edward Norton did. I wish that, the studio, they all could agree together. In 29th place, I have Iron Man 3. This movie deals with some stuff that I really like. I cannot find Iron Man 3 on my tier list. Sorry. We're still in the C tier. Iron Man 3 does a lot of stuff I really like. Him dealing with the anxiety, him dealing with, having to take out stuff without his weapons, really cool. But why did they have to do the Mandarin twist? The terrorist would have been way cooler. And then plus, there's a whole, plot hole where at the end, Rhodey can't get in a suit because they're all programmed to Tony. But Rhodey's suit isn't only programmed to Rhodey because the president's able to get into it. The bad guys are able to get into it. And not only that, the bad guys are able to get into it and operate and use it decently enough to, fight and do some stuff. So can anybody just operate a Stark suit easily, or do you need some experience? I don't like that. I think it should be way more complicated to have to use. But right above it, I have its predecessor, the movie before it, Iron Man 2. I like this one more because it doesn't really have the suit junk at the end, and him blowing up all his suits is so dumb when you just bring him back the next movie. Nothing will ever beat seeing that briefcase in theaters. I remember being a kid thinking that was the coolest thing ever on the racetrack. Whiplash kind of sucks as a villain. I think they shoehorn Scarlett Johansson in at some moments, but I think this movie, they're practicing the world building, but you got to appreciate the world building early on, and I do. I like Iron Man 2. All right. In 27th place. We're still in the C tier. We got Doctor Strange. I think this movie, I think in my Letterboxd review, I was like, every time I see this movie, I think it's really good. I think it's good every time. I think really good to stretch. Sorry. I think it's good, and I think I enjoy it, and I think Benedict Cumberbatch is incredible. But I just think, it's nothing that blows me away. 26. This is probably where I'll get the most hate. Still in the C tier, I have The Marvels. I love this movie. When I was watching this movie in theaters, the whole time I was thinking, am I going to give this movie a 10? No way I'm going to give this movie a 10. Then a Beastie Boys freaking montage comes on, and I'm like, dude, this movie's a 10. Then they do a big CGI war at the end, then the villain dies but then doesn't die, and the heroes can't just take out the villain. Like, why don't you this villain's been so bad, just defeat him. So I think that's kind of dumb, and the CGI is really wonky, and I have to, give it credit on that a little bit. This is my highest 7 out of 10, though, I believe, in the MCU. Yes, it is. All right. In 25th place, moving on to our B tier, my lowest B tier, I have Moon Knight. This was probably my favorite TV show for a long time. But when you rewatch some of these MCU shows, I think Moon Knight holds up just a little less. I still really like it, and I think it's some of the moments and shots that they have in the show is great. I think that they could have done a few more stuff differently. But the fact that the show didn't automatically get renewed for season 2 when, they teased the season 2 and they didn't set up all the characters. So you have Moon Knight who has 3 hidden personalities, and your thing is you're going to tease the third personality at the end of the show and not have a season 2 prepared. Why would you? They should have already had season 2 in development by the time season 1 came out. if Moon Knight was on his second season by now, I think Moon Knight would be potentially one of the more popular characters in the MCU, but everybody forgot about him. All right, in 24th place, I mentioned this movie earlier. I'm a big fan of it. Thor 1. I think it does everything really well. I really like the aesthetic of it. It really does feel out of space. It feels like an Asgardian adventure. And I think Chris Hemsworth is incredible. I think the out of water moments are awesome. I think Loki is so young in it. Tom Hiddleston's so young and handsome in this movie. It just gets me every time. All right. In 23rd place, I have Ant-Man 1. It really sucks that, all the drama happened behind the scenes with the directors. Man, what was his name gonna drive me? That's gonna drive me crazy. Who was the crew? Peyton Reed. Yeah, so Peyton Reed did the first one, I believe. Oh, okay, sorry. So Edgar Wright originally wrote this movie, and, when you see what comes in the future movies, and you can kind of tell the layers that Peyton Reed, adds in, you can kind of tell where Edgar Wright does just cook. I think this movie, being a prison escape, being a heist movie, is where it gets good, and then it loses me after that. All right, in 22nd place, blows my mind. Upon rewatch, this was probably my biggest jump, was Doctor Strange 2. I really liked this movie upon my first watch. I love Elizabeth Olsen. I love Sam Raimi. I mean, that's all you're going to have to give me there. Then upon rewatch, the Multiverse of Madness, nobody went and saw it again. It had one of the biggest drop-offs in Marvel history, second weekend drop-offs. But when I rewatched it, I just liked it. I think the horror elements with Scarlet Witch are crazy, and I do think it's kind of hard that we followed Wanda for so long, and now she's just a full-on villain murdering people. Like, that is kind of hard to buy in. I think that might bug some people. I think, Reed Richards kind of sucks in it. John Krasinski does kind of suck when you look at how he should have been. But I do like Multiverse of Madness. I think it's Multiverse of Goodness now. All right, in 21st place, man, barely out of our top 20. I try to think about it. I try to move it up there. I just couldn't, because the final act, I think, really brings this movie down. I have the Thunderbolts. A lot of people like the Thunderbolts, and I might get some flack for that, but I really, really wish that they would have just ate the bullet, made the movie a little bit longer. I think they're trying to make shorter movies now, which I get, but bite the bullet and have each of them, fighting through together, and you have, like, Yelena shouting for, Red Guardian, being like, Dad, like, as she's freaking out, going through her trauma, and you have him, then it shows him going through his trauma, freaking out, and then you see Bucky, and he's like, Bucky, and he grabs Bucky, and Bucky, like, grabs him, and, like, Bucky's going through his trauma, and then they all go through that. Then they see Bob, right? And then they rescue Bob from his trauma, and then that hug at the end means so much more. And that's just, like, I think where they really sold not making the movie just a little bit longer, because once you bring everybody in the void, especially when you already announced they're all coming back alive. I think that's what sucks with Fantastic Four and Thunderbolts, that you already announced. And you had fake deaths in both of the movies and stuff. So I already knew when Yelena went in, I didn't think she did, right? So, they would have just made it 10 more minutes, bro. I really think I would like this movie a lot more. All right. In our top 20, I really like this show every time I watched it. I really like it. At 20th, I have Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think this movie, I don't know if it would be better as a movie and you let the Russo brothers do something with it, or you just kind of let this be it and then you give the Russo brothers Brave New World or something, is kind of how I think. Because I think, without a doubt, I don't know. I really like this TV show. I think they obviously were dealt a tough hand because they were going for the whole pandemic vibe before COVID broke out, so they had to, like, rewrite stuff. But this show looks great. I think the early MCU shows look so good compared to the other MCU shows, and I wonder if it's because they spent too much and they didn't make money, so they had to make money back, and now they're caught up, maybe. So we'll see, but I really like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. In 19th place, we have same thing. I think the final act really, really bugs me, and like I said, if I have to pick apart these movies, let me go ahead and put this in that B tier. I think the parts that bug me about this movie is, one, why the heck is Reed Richards getting stretched and his suit's ripping when he should be able to stretch so much further than that. I don't want to see a guy's superpowers getting stretched and him getting stretched too much. Like, that's so dumb. I think it's really dumb that Johnny Storm is constantly spamming its clobbering time and I don't get one flame on. And then Sue Storm, I did not like her taking out Galactus, but it killing her, her saving her son with it. Who knows? Maybe Franklin had something to do with partaking and helping her with it. Who knows? With that being said, every character was done so justice in this movie. Every character was acted perfectly. Matt Shackman made a beautiful designed movie. I think CGI is wonky at times for sure, but this is without a doubt top 20 MCU. And it's cool that, you got Thunderbolts and that. I don't think Thunderbolts is top 20, but it's right outside of there. I could potentially put it above Falcon and Winter Soldier, but I do like Falcon and Winter Soldier a lot. All right. In 18th place, we're sticking in our B tier. We have Daredevil Born Again. I think I'm one of the only guys who I think I would have liked the show more pre-overhaul. Episode 5, the bank robbery, I think is awesome. I don't know. I think this show, every week I filmed my reaction. I was able to make shorts for it. A lot of them bang, so that was good to do. Every week I was dying looking forward to watching this show. Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio are just incredible on screen together. I think this show just, kind of missed compared to the other Daredevil show, and I do think some of the MCU shows are better. But give me Daredevil, and I'm so happy that they're already working on season 2, and we're gonna get a season 2 like a year after this. Like, that's what it should be, and then they're gonna able to, you're gonna able to get good storylines going, and I expect season 2 to be really good as well. All right, in 17th place, I have Spider-Man: Homecoming. I really like Spider-Man: Homecoming. Just if I'm talking negative about any of these past movies, it's just maybe I'm pointing out why they're lower than some of the others. But obviously, if it's a B tier, I like it. Spider-Man: Homecoming, I think the Iron Boy Jr., it gets you a little bit. But Tom Holland is so incredible as Spider-Man. He buys the Peter Park. I think every time I watch Tom Holland, Toby's my favorite. Andrew is just incredible in the suit and has the best performance in TASM 2. I think Tom's probably the best overall. Tom Holland, you buy him as Peter Parker so well as the dork kid from Queens, but you also buy him as Spider-Man, a dork kid from Queens who has superpowers. And he's just incredible. I think the Iron Boy Jr. stuff definitely bogs it down a little bit. And I think that's probably its only real flaw. In 16th place, I have WandaVision. We're sticking in the B tier. WandaVision is so much fun for 4 or 5 episodes, and then the finale. I really don't like the finale, sadly. I wish the finale landed more. Can Matt Shackman not make a finale between Fantastic Four and WandaVision? I don't want to say it, but maybe I'll be the guy to say it. With that being said, though, Matt Shackman is incredible. He aesthetically is one of, if not the best director in the MCU. And, man, like I said, I'll eat Elizabeth Olsen up every day of the week. I love me some Scarlet Witch, man. All right, in 15th place, I have Hawkeye. I really like Hawkeye. I think it's one of the better MCU shows, if not the best MCU show. It's the show that actually brings in other characters a good amount, references other characters a good amount. It ties into the previous MCU a decent amount, with also new stuff in the MCU a decent amount, good CGI all across the board, longer episodes. Only a week finale, that's it. Every episode is a banger except the week finale, so I think you got to give it its praise. In 14th place, which would potentially be a lot higher if it wasn't for a weak season 2, is Loki, the show. Loki season 1's probably a 10 out of 10. Loki season 1's awesome, if not like a 9.5 out of 10. Loki season 2 is like a 7-8 for me. I think it kind of definitely does skip some stuff, and I think it just kind of was rushed in some ways. It gets a little confusing. I just think season 1's just really hard to top. But with that being said, as an overall show, it is easily, on the guffs of being top 10 MCU. Tom Hiddleston has second best character arc in the MCU since Iron Man. So Iron Man's probably 1, and then I'd have Rocket 2, and then probably Tom Hiddleston's Loki 3. All right, in 13th place, I have Deadpool and Wolverine. I think this movie is a perfect Deadpool movie. I love just kind of letting Ryan Reynolds just get these movies and let him cook. I think, Deadpool 2 I have as an 8 out of 10. I think it's obviously flawed. I think Deadpool 1 is one of the greatest comic book movies of all time. It's still slightly flawed, but it's one of the best 9 out of 10 comic book movies. I think I have it as a second best 9 out of 10 under Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, which I might move to a 10. But this movie's incredible. It does everything right, get your special sock out, nerds. It's gonna get good. Um, Cassandra No is a mega maniacal psychotic asshole. I'm trying to learn that whole monologue to surprise Ermac for an episode, so we'll see if I can do that. All right, in 12th place, I have the thing that started it all off, Iron Man, man. This movie, I think it does drag at some points during the middle, and I think Obadiah Stane and the Sioux in the final fight kind of sucks. But with that being said, man, it kicked off the entire MCU. RDJ is incredible. Gwyneth Paltrow is really fun in this as well. Honestly, I do like Terrence Howard as War Machine, as Rhodey, sorry. But, dude, like, I can't believe he wanted more money than RDJ in the second one when he got more money in the first one. Like, I mean, I get it. You got more money in the first one, but the movie's called Iron Man, bro. All right, in 11th place, barely outside our top 10. But I'm going to we're going to give this an A tier. Avengers Age of Ultron. I had to move this outside my top 10 after some further, thinking, because they just do Hulk so dirty. You have Black Widow, why not have them just run away together if you're not going to have Hulk show up the entire final fight? Because she pushes him down, and that's all you see from Hulk until he gets in the Quinjet. And I think that is just so dumb. And that's probably my only flaw with this movie. Besides that, I do really like this movie. I think you feel the aspect of them being a family a little more than in the first one, and you can feel that they've been a team for a while, so I do like that a lot. I think, they set up everything pretty well in the future, and just, man, the action at the end is so fun, and Elizabeth Olsen has a great performance. Like I said, I'll eat Elizabeth Olsen up as Scarlet Witch. I love her so much. Her performance when, she rips out his heart, and she's like, that's what it felt like when I lost my brother. Man, come on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's getting good. Let's get into the top 10. At number 10, we're still in the A tier. I have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. Okay, so I've always kind of liked this movie the least out of all of them, and I always wondered why. Upon research, I had realized James Gunn was, according to him, he was, one of the main writers of this movie, but I can't remember who was credited as a writer as well. Okay, Nicole Perriman. So, she was like the original writer of this movie. She was the one who kind of mentioned the songs, but not the specific songs. James Gunn was the one to do the specific songs and the mixtape aspect. James Gunn brought in all that. But I do think there might be some things that she had sprinkled in that I think James Gunn might have not done, and that's what I think I don't like about it. Maybe I'm full of shit, because James Gunn really did fight to only get the writer credit for him. And like I said, the gun don't jam. I'm James Gunn's world's biggest glazer. I think this movie's problems are, they're not a family yet. I think when you feel them, they all have chemistry together. I think, it works a lot better just because, it's just more fun. And then Ronan and Thanos, that space scene is really, really bad. I really don't like that space scene. Every time I see it, I'm like, I was really enjoying this movie. Then the space scene happens. But like I said, this is top 10 MCU. The gun doesn't jam. James Gunn has never made a bad movie. But I just want to explain why I have it lower than the other ones. And the whole writer thing is interesting. If y'all know more about the Nicole Perriman thing, I'm curious on how much effect she actually had into this movie. All right, in 9th place, I have Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Some of the best action in the MCU. Scarlett Johansson, man, oh man, oh man. I mean, that's all you have to say. Chris Evans in this movie is incredible, man. The boat sequence it draws you in so well. I think that's what the Russo brothers do really well. I think they do draw you in really good into their movies. which is curious on how they're gonna do that with Doomsday. That's gonna be fun to see. This movie has no flaws. I think it does drag a little bit, kind of at the end, just ever so slightly to not make it where it should be. But this is it the best grounded MCU movie? Yes, it is the best grounded MCU movie for sure, and it's not that grounded. I think this movie has such the problem of the early MCU movies where why is Captain America wanted fugitive and Iron Man's not even looking for him? Like that kind of bugs me. You have Black Widow in it, so that's okay, but you have no other mention of anything at all. So I think that's where it does kind of bug me, but that's such a dumb little nitpick, so we'll just ignore that. All right, in eighth place, we're still at the A tier. I have Avengers Endgame. Avengers Endgame is just one of those movies you have to give credit for to what it is. It is the culmination of so many movies before it, so many characters before it. It does every character really well except Thor and Hulk. I really don't like that. It just kind of, scoffs off two of my favorite characters for sure. With that being said, the final 40 minutes of this movie is just so ridiculous and heartfelt, and you have so many individual character moments that stick to every character's true core so well. And then, I mean, just the way it ends, like you just got to give credit to it. I get it has its flaws, man. I get it has its flaws. Endgame, nothing will be seeing Endgame in theaters. Like it was top 5 movie theaters experiences for me for sure. All right, but just before it, in number 7, still in the A tier, I have Avengers 1. I don't think Avengers 1 was in my top 10 for a minute, and just the more I think about it, the more I like it. It started everything off, so I think I give it a little more credit for that, and I think I like Endgame better, but I think Avengers is a better written movie. I think the Josh Whedonness kind of shows a little bit, just a little bit. I think the Russo brothers are better than Joss Whedon at making movies, but man, Joss Whedon made a good movie. Like, it's kind of crazy that you see this movie on paper and you're like, oh, this movie's kind of colorful, and this movie's, does character development pretty well, and then he just makes a terrible movie in Justice League. But was it because he already had a terrible, development with characters because of Zack Snyder? I don't know, because the Snyder Cut, it's decent. With that being said, Avengers 1 on its own, there's not really many flaws with it at all. All right, in 6th place, I have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I'll say it till the day I die. The gun does not jam. James Gunn does not make a bad movie. This movie is just a step up from 1 because James Gunn is able to just kind of do what he wants, I feel like, and add a little bit more comedy into it, add a little bit more heart into it, add more music into it, add like that whole Groot sequence, brings it in so well. So heartfelt at the end, the stuff with Yondu, man. Like, it gets me every time. And then Yondu's funeral, and then they connect it to Rocket, right? Where Rocket feels it too, and he feels the connection to Yondu as well. Man, Guardians 2 is so good. In 5th place, I have Thor Ragnarok. I freaking love Thor Ragnarok. I just remember watching Thor Ragnarok. Every time I watch it, I'm like, this movie's freaking incredible. The final fight's incredible. Taika Waititi made such a good movie, man. I can't believe he made such a dumpster fire in Thor Love and Thunder, because I think this movie is incredible. You bring in Bruce Banner back, and we get to see good Savage Hulk for the last time. Man, I can't even think of many flaws with this movie. All right, my highest rated A tier movie, Captain America Civil War. This movie's freaking awesome. This movie's so awesome. Bringing RDJ and letting him be the villain is just such an interesting and good idea. I think telling a Civil War story the way they did, with the fact that they had so many less crucial characters than the comics, just because, you don't have access to the X-Men or Fantastic Four. So I think that sucks, but they told it pretty freaking good. Like, I think every time I watch this movie, it's just a sit down, turn this shit on, and then just sit back and enjoy. 4th place in the MCU. I think the reason why it's not, the other movies are above it and it's not S tier, is each of these movies in S tier, I think they make me feel something, man. Like, I think that's just what it is. And speaking of making me feel something, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 in third place. I think I probably have this movie higher than a lot of people, but I think this movie's incredible. Sophie. Sophie. Dude, my dog just snored so loud I thought she farted. I wonder if y'all heard that. This movie's so heartfelt, and like I said, I've said this a million times. Rocket has the best character arc in the MCU. I think probably close to RDJ. Probably not better, but it's been your story all along. Gets me every time. It's so heartfelt. You know, the mission of saving their friends. The CGI in this movie is incredible. The space journey is just so fun. It's the culmination of the period of the MCU as well as all the Guardians movie. And it's like James Gunn's send off into the DCU. So I think that's like so beautiful as well. Like, and I think it's so cool that they made it and none of the cast would have came back with that James Gunn. James Gunn goes and does the Suicide Squad 2, which is incredible. Probably his best movie he made up to that moment. And then came back and got to do whatever he wanted. I truly believe they got, because you can see it. You can see it right when the movie starts, a James Gunn film. Like it says it way more. And he's always done that. Like James Gunn is very that way. He always like, not to shit on him. I think he do what the fuck you want. You're James Gunn. But I don't think it's like that in the other one. So I think he really wanted to point out, like, this is my movie. So this movie's incredible. In second place, I got Spider-Man No Way Home. I think some people say nostalgia lets it bother you. I think if you take Tobey and Andrew out of this movie, it's still a top 10 MCU movie. But you bring in Tobey and Andrew and you have them come back and you help them, teach the Spider-Man who's, I think, has had a really shitty movie before and has had some weird development throughout the MCU, and you bring him in and you kind of do teach him the valuable lesson of with great power with great power comes great responsibility. And then you have two mentors come in and kind of help him not go dark a little bit. And then now, you can kind of tie that into future movies with the symbiote where he doesn't have a mentor now so who knows what they can do. This movie is just so incredible. It's so heartfelt. The best theater experience of all of our life. Like, let's be real. Nobody knew if they were going to be there, but everybody knew that Tobey and Andrew were going to be there. I love this movie. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. I saw it in theaters 5 times, I believe. So yeah, this is incredible. But in first place for me, and I think this is the greatest comic book movie of all time, over Dark Knight, over the Spider-Verses, is Infinity War. If you want to argue and say Dark Knight's better, I get it, but I would rather have Hulk not be able to become Hulk because he's scared and Bruce Banner can't activate it than Batman kill somebody. So Into the Spider-Verse I think is the only legit argument because they don't really have something like Hulk that can kind of bog it down. But Infinity War, they bring in all these characters so well, and so I love the movie sets up so well. So you have boom, it brings in the Ragnarok crew. And it's Thanos taking out the Ragnarok crew, and it's like, oh, Thor, Loki, the gods, sets up like the stakes really well. Then you have Hulk crash into Doctor Strange, and then Doctor Strange and Iron Man meet for the first time and now connect, and you have Bruce Banner back with Iron Man, and now you have him with Doctor Strange. None of these characters have ever interacted before, and now they come to the planet and they all have to fight together. Then boom, Spider-Man shows up. Does that, goes and fights with them. Like, it's so well incredibly paced. Then you have the Guardians come in, and right when the Guardians come in, it feels like a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Like, the Russo brothers were able to bring in James Gunn aesthetic. I don't know if they let James Gunn, direct on it at all. I'm very curious, like how James Gunn is mentioned. Producer, so he's not a producer, not a writer, not an original writer. So executive producer. So he's an executive producer on it. So I'm curious on what effect he had it. Then you have the final fight where they all go to freaking Wakanda, and you have the Wakanda army fighting with everybody. Then you have the Guardians fighting too, and it's like you have all these separate missions going on, and then they all tie together at the end. And then you have Thor, who the real movie, it's Thor's movie, like the whole time, which is really kind of crazy to think about that it is Thor's movie, this movie. You kind of could say it's Iron Man's movie. It is Thor's movie. It's Thor going to get the hammer and coming to defeat Thanos. Like, that's really, and then he shows up, bring me Thanos! Best moment in the MCU, hands down. And then, is this close? Should have gone for the head. That, and then it ends fast. It does end fast. Like, it does that, and then it ends. Like, it doesn't drag shit on. It doesn't, 5 years later, ends. It's I will glaze Infinity War till the day I die, man. Let me know down below what y'all think of my ranking. I am definitely want to do more rankings for sure. I mean, I've done on the podcast my Karate Kid ranking. I'm rewatching the Fast and Furious franchise just kind of dickingly every so often right now because I don't know. They're fun. So yeah, if y'all want to see Star Wars, I could do my Spider-Man ranking for sure. I have a bunch of rankings, so just comment down below whatever y'all would want to see, and I'll do it. I mean, I've seen a bunch of movies. So, and comment down below if you think I'm an idiot, if there's anything you disagree with, and I will catch y'all later. Peace out.